and we have an amazing guest on today that we're actually working on a project together and symbiotically with some great patriots. I think you're going to be very excited about what we're going to disclose today. I just absolutely love this guy, and I'll bring him on in just a second. And let's just remember, folks, it's hard to find me sometimes. Shadow banned all over the place. Just go to screwbiggov.com. And if you fill out the newsletter right there, I'll be able to find you no matter what platform I get kicked off at. I'll let you know. But even better, you can go on there and there's a ton of social media links. So every time we get kicked off social media, you can find us. And plus, how about all the movies we do? You have Cages there. You have every film that we've ever done. You can pretty much get there. And any products you want to get, everything right there. Just go to screwbiggov.com and you'll find all the social media links. They'll pop up here in just a second. You can see them all across the top of the page. Boom, 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 boom. And next up, our buddy Rob, the birthday boy himself. Make sure you go to his Telegram, and that's at Renegade Media. So, what he does is he chops up parts of the show and little news portions that we've done, and he'll put them there, which is really cool. So, you can make little easy forwards all over the place. And do us a favor. We know how it is. You got to like, follow, and subscribe. And folks, if you're watching on Rumble right now, take a deep breath. Don't get upset. Go and double check and make sure you are still subscribed. Because as we know, would they take away 200 chunks at a time? In fact, I can tell you just this week, I can look live right now. They did twice. So we're down 400 subscribers just since last Thursday, which means they took out chunks of 200 two times. Rumble claims it's not them. They claim they're getting hacked. But as you know, folks, you go back and you're going to go, wow, they unsubscribed me. Go figure. So just go and double check that you are subscribed. And please, let's break these algorithms so you have to like and share everywhere. So this gentleman I'm going to bring on is somebody you may know. Is a really good guy. His name's Joe Rosati, and his partner is Scott Stone and they do the Truth Stream, which is really, really cool. Let me show you a little promo video for Joe. It's about a minute, and then we're going to bring him right in, and we're just going to have a nice conversation. I think it'll be a lot of fun.
You're in the fight. You're doing something. God sees it. The country sees it. Your friends, your family sees it. You're being an example. You're doing stuff that most people don't have the courage to do or the ability.
You guys are very talented about bringing out, because you're so human and real, about bringing out the humanness of the person that you're talking to. That is why I have always listened to you.
Glad you guys are doing it. This is my best interview experience I've ever had.
Thank you.
It is. I had the most fun. I felt most received by it. It's the best I've had. Truly. Yeah, I'm like, wow. I have a bias now.
Because he is making great 80s rock music, and it's patriotic, it's beautiful, and he puts a lot into it, man. He puts a lot into everything he's doing. I'm fighting for you, bleeding to be free. I'm screaming for truth, and you're fighting with me.
With no further ado, ladies and gents, that is Joe Rosati on the screen. Wow, he's looking comfy, isn't he? How you doing, brother?
I'm good. I'm feeling comfy. It's nice to have a little break to not really host a show. So thank you for having me.
Hey, I do what I can do. One thing I tell constantly, I preach this all the time. People are always curious about, well, what truth or what patriot can I believe, and who should I follow, and blah blah blah, and I can't trust anybody anymore. And I go down, generally always to one thing. Two, really. I say, well, what's your gut tell you? That's very important because we should be figuring out how to have more discernment through the last few years for sure. And number two, and it's equally as important, I say, what are their fruits? And not not to bag on any other patriots, but you're one of the rare ones that actually has fruits to your labor. And I know what you've done to fight for the children. I know the music you've put out, and the videos, and some of the interviews you and Scott have done. And you and I have had several talks on the phone. We have similar passions when it comes to what needs to be done in this quote unquote movement. And so I want to say thank you, and I appreciate you because you're one of the rare guys that actually walks the walk, not just talks the talk.
Well, that means a lot coming from you. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know exactly what to attribute it to. I think I've been so let down by the entertainment industry. It's been very, very confronting for me as an artist. So yeah, I thought, what can we do? I mean, the whole reason Scott and I started Truth Stream was because what we were hearing about children, and
Mhm.
that's first I'll speak for myself. you know that when you hear these things are going on and then you start sharing them with people and people don't believe you, they don't want to listen to it, they want to bury their heads. Not everybody, but it's like, my gosh, and we can go into this later in the show. I don't have a lot of
Oh,
woo
well,
woo.
time's up. Sorry.
Thanks everybody.
And good night.
But I haven't really tapped in. I'm so busy like in the 3D. I haven't tapped into a lot of the 5D stuff, if you will. And so, but I got a reading done, a few years back. And I think all of us, but I think I was definitely one of those kids that was in the tunnels. And I would pray that someone was up there doing something about it if they could. And so, I've been in a fortunate place in my life to be able to really put my heart and soul into this. And it answers a lot of, watching shows like yours and doing shows like ours, we've got a lot of answers. And are they 100%? I'm not sure yet, but it sure makes a lot more sense than the world we've been taught. And so I'm honored to do what I do and throw my hat in the ring. So I appreciate the acknowledgement. Thank you.
Yeah, no, I absolutely love it. You mentioned 3D, 5D, and I get some of the people that talk about 3D, 5D. I get them upset sometimes because I ask little questions like, "What exactly is 5D? Where did you learn that? What was the origin of that?" So on and so forth. But I kind of use that language now too, just because it's so easy for people to understand. And we definitely are in a matrix 3D reality. I think that's very, very clear. And we can call it 5D or whatever is, but there is an ascension process that's going on. And I think that's very clear also. What I also find, and I want to know your take on this, is I find myself the only way to really be effective is I step in and out of, say, the 3D and the 5D. You know, in fact, I've had two people separately said, "Oh, you're the 4D bridge," and I didn't know what that meant, and then they explained to me what it meant, and they don't know each other, or well, I think they may know each other, but they probably never talked about me. I'm not that important. Anyways, it's very interesting though that they would say that, and I think it's imperative that we work on ascending, whatever ascension is to you watching, but we have to step back into this 3D reality to make things also happen. What's your take on that?
Right. Well, there's different channels. There's, astral travel, there's meditation, there's, doing things where you're in the ethers and all that. My background is getting things done in 3D, whether that's a film project or a music project or booking a band and putting on a show. My background is also, it's voiceover, music, film, also running a nightclub. I know what it's like to be wanting to be booked for a gig and also being the promoter and booker of the gig. And so, and why shows like this are important is, for me, it's very awkward if you go up and you tell someone, let's say you're going up to get a show and you're telling somebody about it, and then like, who is it? And you're like, well, it's me. That's a little awkward. The importance of a show like this is you're helping showcase this project and a few other things and the people that are part of it so that we don't necessarily have to explain that. So for me, the 3D is being results oriented, doing projects where you can see a result and sharing that with people so they can see the fruits of your labor. And
Yeah.
that's what I'm talking about, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that makes total sense. So within the Patriot community now, right? It seems it's more than ever, there's a lot of so-called disclosures against truthers and trying to call out truthers and so on and so forth. What are you seeing in that? And then I'll give kind of my take, and this will help us with the direction that we're going on a project together.
Right. Well, we just had an amazing gentleman on the show. His name's Mike King, and he talks about Trump's 60,000 man army. And he talks about the movie The Sting and how Trump, the White Hats, that group is utilizing that. That's why Trump will, see one day he's befriended somebody and then the next he's calling them out about something.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know how that applies in the truther community and what the benefits are for that. Maybe that's part of it. I'm not sure. All I know is we're trying mine and Scott's channel, and I see that with yours as well. We're trying to find unity and common ground and bring people to get together. There's been enough division. And so
Exactly.
that's where we're going with it. All that stuff is going to take care of itself. It's all going to come out in the wash. Whether someone's pro Flynn or anti Flynn, I don't know. I don't know.
And I'm both.
Lewis is biflinual.
I am biflinual. Exactly. I don't even think I'm in transition yet. No, it's so true what you say, though, because what I think people are missing. Okay, so it's very real world Jersey Shore to me when I see this happening. And I don't fault the truthers that are calling out other truthers, because if their heart's in the right place, I would caution them of a couple things, though. Number one, make sure you have the evidence. Don't any speculation of this could be this or that, or just because this person says so, they could have an axe to grind, right? That's something very, very important, I believe, before they do these disclosures, and do it for the right reasons. Like a couple that I can think of, after they started so-called outing truthers, their viewership doubled and tripled within months. Suddenly they went from never doing that to that's all they do, and their viewership's going through the roof because it's very dramatic. And unfortunately, I don't think this is part of the ascension process when we're still drawn to the drama, when it's so important for us to see the drama, especially without evidence. So ultimately, what this is really accomplishing, and this is where I would caution any truthers that make this their focus. It is complete division. And you use Flynn as an example. So many times I've said something about Flynn, like, that's kind of, that's a little sketchy. I don't know. It's a psyop within a psyop. Wham! People are freaking out. Oh, you're anti-Flynn. And then I'll say, Flynn's the only guy that says work within your local communities and let's get the job done. And I'm one that says the micro fixes the macro. And then I get hammered from there. Don't you know Flynn's a bad guy? Blah, 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 blah. And I tell everybody, it's time, maybe just take a deep breath, because what it does is, and I see the fighting with inside the chat rooms, it's just creating division. So ultimately, let's not create the division, because all this stuff we're going to figure it out. It's all going to come out in the wash, right? That's why I say, let's look at the fruits of the labor.
Exactly. And when it comes to, Flynn or Elon Musk or Trump, who knows the game they're playing with, with the doubles and the masks and all that. And is it to lure people into finding out about a certain person or a certain subject or whatever? I mean, that's how I see it. I try not to get too involved in it. I admit I can see where people can get caught up in it, because there are certain things that don't make sense in one way, and then and then there's something that's looks to be the opposite side of the story or spectrum on the other hand. And I don't know. And that's part of, that's why Scott and I call Truth Stream Adventures in Truth. We don't claim to have the truth. We don't exactly know the truth, but we're doing our best to have conversations. We're an open platform, and we'll have people that are on that are pro Q and some that don't buy into it. We don't know. We're just trying to figure it out like anyone else.
Yeah, I agree. We are trying to just figure it out. Now, as many people know, and I haven't gone into detail, so this is going to be some reveals and disclosures today about this, is I've been working on something called the Unity Project. And I believe the Unity Project is extraordinarily important. In fact, I've reached out to a whole bunch of truthers and I've asked them for a 1-minute video of something positive and inspirational. And Lisa's putting together this montage of videos. So anybody's feeling a little bit down about something, just go replay that video, and one of your favorite truthers will be on there, kind of helping you uplift, which I think is very, very important. And I think this is where we're missing, because we're so salacious all the time about what's the bad, what's the bad, what's the bad. Let's talk about something inspirational. And then it came up with the ideas. I was watching the documentary on the making of We Are the World, right? And so I came up with, as you know, the inspiration for creating some form of a unity song. And I had some ideas of how I wanted it to go. And then I called you because I knew no better person to get involved than you, right?
Thank you.
And then it between you and your buddy Steve started writing this, and it really, I believe, is coming to fruition right now, which is very exciting, and guys. And so there'll be somewhere between 8 and 10 phenomenal singers on this beautiful song that's kind of in the format, but We Are the World, but not. And Joe's working on some really, really special things here. Um, so, Joe, let's talk a little bit about that, and then maybe we can play a clip or two.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, yeah, Lewis had approached me with this idea, and part of it was we are in a spiritual battle, and there's certain words in the song, about uniting and ascension, and it for me, because I don't use the term God or Lord loosely. I don't believe I've used that term. In maybe one song actually that called Candelabra of one of my albums, um, but it took me going to see the Bob Marley film. Now, granted, that film is not 100% correct. There's some other stuff I've learned outside of the narrative, but let's just stick with me for a moment. So it took me seeing that, and Bob Marley uses the word Lord, and I really felt comfortable. I really resonated with that. And so, I'm going back and forth with Lewis about certain lyrics, and he's like, well, we got to have, this certain component in there. And I'm like, well, you're right, but I haven't really felt comfortable. And so we came to this agreement that worked. And so then it's reaching out to musicians in the community. And one is Stephen Tenor. We got his beautiful tenor voice that he's going to be putting into the project. And then Kristen, she's, and we'll share her video shortly. Her last name is it Capolino, I believe.
Capolino, yes.
Capolino. So, and she's done a video before. And then what I'm doing is I'm working with a lot of Italians. There's a gentleman I met at a Patriot event in 2021, and his name's Dennis Napolitano, and he is a music teacher down in the Burbank area. And I reached out to him and asked him if he could, lend his talents. And so he's creating some harmony type, different harmonies for the song. And so what we're in the process of doing is we're looking for a studio, and we're putting this as a manifestation project, right, Lewis?
Yes.
So We're looking for a studio in the Southern California, kind of the Burbank area, for Monday, May 20th, where Dennis can come in with his group of students, Lewis can come in with his camera, and I'm going to be there as well. And we don't know what studio this is yet. And we're going to record audio and video there, and we can go more into that. But so that's the culmination of where we're going with this right now,
Yeah,
Lewis.
and that will be for mainly a chorus or part of the chorus. We will go into that because I folks, start putting in your mind right now, if you know anybody that has a studio in the Burbank, Los Angeles area, let us know, and if they could donate it or give it to us for a good price, because this is not a revenue generating project by no means. In fact, we're having the artists sign that they understand that they're gifting their time to this song, and this is because this is a gift for we the people. Do we want to disclose the title?
Yeah, well, yeah, and this is good. So when I'm coming up with a song, because when I write, it's kind of a mixed bag of emotions. Because first of all, let's talk about the music industry. There's so many songs that they're a part of the tapestry of our life. Like in college, I took a class, and it was one of my psychology courses, and most people, they're going to remember the songs, and they're going to play those songs that were really in their mid to late 20s. Those stick with them over most of their life. That doesn't mean they don't listen to new music, but those become part of the memories that they have that trigger those emotions, right? So when I think of all the songs that I've listened to throw my hat in the ring with that, and it's not a competition, but I'm just saying I want to come up with something that's special. It might take me a bit of time to do this. Also, I never really intended to do this by myself. I was part of a band. I was the rhythm guitar player, and then things happen in life, and sometimes if you're going to do this at all, you have to do everything that you can to make that happen. So when I started
I know it
looking,
well.
yeah, exactly, right? So when I started looking at this, I started looking at a bunch of songs about unity, and there's a lot of songs called Unity or Unite. And then I went on and I looked, and there's only a couple that say to unite. And you look on Spotify or Apple, just like with my song Freedom Now, Tracy Chapman had one. There's a lot of songs that have freedom, but Freedom Now, there was just that one that I saw at the time. Who knows anymore? But anyway, so it's called To Unite because I feel that that's kind of a call to action, a command, something that's inclusive in a good way, not that's been hijacked. So yeah, the song is called To Unite because that's, I feel, what we need to do.
And Kristen did an amazing job. You folks may have seen her when I produced the video for Tenor. Am I the Only One? The remake, and he did a wonderful job. And she was the guitarist in there, and she is so talented as a singer, also. So let's play a little bit from Kristen so people know the direction that we're going with this.
Yep.
In peace and love, tonight we lie with love. Tonight, tonight.
There's a little teaser.
Yeah, and it's cool to hear her shine through because we're at some point we're going to interview her and her father. Her father has kept her safe from the people in the industry.
Yep.
And I asked her, I said, it sounds like so many people have wanted your father out of the room when interviewing you. And I said, we're going to do the opposite on Truth Stream. We're going to invite you and your dad to make sure that he's part of this because he has some real stories about the industry as well. And so, that's what we're up to. And we're not sure exactly, how that specific part's going to play into the song, but that's why it's a demo. We're figuring this out, and we're going to take all these parts and turn it into, one big song, one project, and a video, etc., and see where it goes. So yeah.
Well, And so you guys know, if anybody's worked with me before, I'm a nice guy and a pain in the ass at the same time. So Joe's got to deal with this already. Where I'm like, okay, Joe. So here's the deal. What I'm looking for is I'm looking for maybe a kind of a country rock twang with a little bit of maybe a jazzy part, and make sure that we get some steel drums in there and do a Caribbean deal. Da 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 da. Da. I mean, it's all over the map. There's a method to my madness, as Joe's figured out after talking, because these elements will be very powerful within the song, and then bringing in Kristen, and she's an amazing guitarist. So I know what you did. You probably just like take it, do what you want with the guitar, right?
Yeah, that's the thing. And there's going to be a little reggae thrown in there. I wouldn't call myself a lead. I'm a rhythm guitar player because what that
Hmm.
allows for me, since I used to just do the rhythm and then, start doing the vocals. And but for me to sing and play, I go into a bit of a meditative state. And that might be a little challenging to do while you're playing lead guitar. And plus,
Hmm. Hmm.
and
Hmm.
I'll just speak for other songwriters and musicians out there. Sometimes you don't get the right teacher. And I've had a few of the wrong teachers for lead guitar. It either makes me feel like I didn't learn this way early enough, or they're just like, well, you just do this. No, 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 no. And I'm like, wait a second. I don't learn that way. And so I really enjoy the writing of the words, the strumming of the guitar, the singing, and then sometimes, I've even sang without playing. And so that way I can develop my voice more. There's so many amazing guitar players out in the world. And I would love to eventually play with different lead guitar players because that's their thing, that's their shtick, that's what they do. And so I'm happy to bring. I'm a team player, and I like to. I guess part of my production style, if you will, is I've always operated with social currency, and because if you don't have a lot of money, all you can do is create win-wins, and you make the project that you can make. Sometimes that may not be the project you either know you're going to make or want to make, but I think even Scorsese said that. Now let's take that whole thing about the cabal and all that stuff away from the elite filmmakers of the world. But I believe that Scorsese did say that because a friend of mine named Randy, he talked about that quote. So you do the best you can with what you have. And if you do that, then other opportunities can open up. If you're sitting there trying to make your first project the best thing you can make it, well, you could be doing that for decades. And I don't think that's the best way to work. It really isn't.
Yeah, I agree. And it's been easy to work with you because here's the way Joe works. I go, Joe, hey, how about this idea? Let's try this. And he's like, we could probably work with that. And then he
Yeah.
hangs up the phone and goes, shit, that guy. But
Uh,
the lyrics are amazing though. And that may even morph, but I mean they're for right now they're pretty damn good, Joe. I mean, just I think you brought it right in the right direction that it needs to be. So this is going to be really exciting. Um, so guys, if you know of a studio in Southern California that's willing to open it up for a session, um, we'd really appreciate it, because that's pretty much one of the final pieces in this.
yeah, it is. Absolutely.
Um, you got a glare all of a sudden. Did the sun get behind you possibly?
Yeah, it probably shifted. I can scoot over. That's pretty funny you mentioned that. The sun does change. Let's see, is that better? Or yeah, that's worse. We'll go this way.
Cool. It's just the angels looking over you. That's all it
Yeah,
is.
let's go with that. I'll take that.
um, let me do some housekeeping here real quick.
Yeah,
Just
and
want
so
to
that's going to be Monday afternoon because the voice works better in the evening. Usually, you wake up and it might be a little groggy or
hmm
whatever. But
hmm
yeah, I would say from 3 p.m. Pacific on would be amazing. And we just need it for a few hours. I mean, a lot of people, when you have someone like Dennis involved and with his students, there's already a rapport there. And so I think that's really going to help bring this to light in a relatively quick fashion would be ideal.
And what we could do is the backup plan too, in case somebody can't come up with something like that. I'm thinking maybe you and I can offline, we'll find a studio, get it priced out, worst case scenario, and then maybe we can put it up and see if we can get some donations towards that or something. And the reason why I say that publicly, as my wife knows, she tells me I'm really bad at asking for donations, but if it's going through a specific project, um, and I'm financially, I've been tapped for a while anyway, so it's not like I can just keep pouring money out. So maybe that's a way people can participate if they would love the project that we're doing. And ultimately, I really feel like it's going to be a big song. By the way, just something about the whole deal. It just feels right. I don't know. What's your gut telling you about this?
Well, the fact we're even having this conversation, Lewis, I'm a kid that, when you look up to certain people in the industry and you find out that they're not who you think they are,
Mhm.
and most of your role models, you're a decade or two past where they were in their prime, and the fact I'm even doing this, first of all, is I'm very thankful for that. I mean, I have a good feeling. My life is this at this point, and I was never one that would talk about the whole God concept. But before my dad passed in 2000 or in 2021, he said to me, you need to get right with the man upstairs, and it really hit me. And my dad said I should be in PR and I should be using my voice. And isn't there a company out there like maybe the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation? It's right up in Seattle, Joe. And it's like, yeah, no thanks, nothing, no, not interested in that at all. And so I I've said this, and this will probably make it its way into a song. So don't steal this, anyone. But I'm a sail, and Source is the wind, and I'm going where he's taken me, where Source has taken me. Whatever label you want to put on that. I know some people are like, well, it's divine, and there's no sex assigned to it. I grew up in a household where the man upstairs. That's how my dad would call it. So
Yeah, and it's I don't the people. It's so funny. People tend to judge people's spiritual affiliations, especially, and I find this, some of my Christian brethren are the worst, where if it, if God forbid you say Mother Earth or something else, and they freak out like it's some satanic thing. And I
right.
know I'm going to get feedback on here, and I don't really give a damn because it's just, it just we need to unite. This is what it's all about right now. And let's say people feel like there's different pathways to the Lord, and there's only one. Let's take down the deep state first, right? And then and save all the children, and then let's come together and have those discussions. To me, that's more productive. And somebody extraordinarily prominent in this movement was really trying to get me to go a certain direction with my truth tours and stuff, and said could probably get 10 times the audience and so on and so forth, blah blah blah. And of course it would sound very enticing, but I wasn't willing to go down that certain religious route, right? Because I don't think that's the avenue. I wanted the authenticity and bringing everybody together that we possibly can, and I'm not going to impose my views on somebody else. I would rather be open to it, learn as much as I can, and then after we save the kids, then we'll have those discussions and say, okay, well, maybe this is the way to go, or maybe that's the way to go. Who knows? But for us to create division right now is just ludicrous to me.
Yeah, this is about the long game here. I mean, I've been
Mm,
patient. Many
mm,
of us have been very patient. Shortcuts don't seem to work. And I'll say this for Scott and I at TruthStream is, we were in the fall, not that we were going to hang it up, but man, we were really struggling. I mean, it was very challenging because we want to do things in a certain way, and we've had things fall through that whether they're false promises, whether they meant to be, meant for things to come through, people that promised money by going through the Siskiyou Trust or what have you. And we know this. We're in America. We have a chance every day to recreate ourselves. We have loving families. If I can eat and have roof over my head and continue to do this with integrity, that's all I care about, because I know what's coming.
Mhm.
I feel like I won the lottery every day that I have, some family, not all, that understands what I'm doing, and friends, not a lot, but some friends understand it. And just having that, I mean, and the fact Scott and I can talk to each other in person
Mhm.
and interact with our audience, we're so thankful that we can't do this any other way than the long game. We just feel like we'd be, like, I don't know, cheapening it somehow. And so I've been this patient this long in my life. I'd rather run through the end of the marathon, the way that I've lived my life. And so that's
Mhm.
why teaming up with you feels so organic. And I say this to Scott all the time. It's got to percolate and it's got to be organic, because that's how I want to do things. And that's how I resonate with you, because you become kind of like an older brother to me in this movement, and you've helped our channel immensely, and it's just been amazing. So that's how we're doing it.
Yeah, I like that. And it's so the way I look at it is I believe we have now and then we have eternity, right? And I'm a believer that there is some form of eternity there. So if that's the case, mathematically, it's best to quantify it. So let's just call eternity a million years. And let's say we're here for 100 years. So what you do here for the 100 years, to me, earns your eternity. So why focus on the monetary part so hard? Why worry about trying to get that $1 million or whatever? Because that you can't take it with you. What you can take with you is the fruits of your labor, your integrity, and what you've done to give back. That's what you can take with you for eternity. So to me, I just have never understood the greed-based thought process, because that's not fulfilling anything that I'm going to be taking with me.
Right. Well, and I think that's what's been challenging for me. And I talk about this on the show. I've seen you two 16 times. To me, that was the life that I thought would be, the best life in the world, going around playing your music, having adoring fans. And I think the biggest punch to the gut was who, if people know who the singer of U2 is, Bono, who he hung out with, you know, and then he writes a song. Came out on the Joshua Tree in '87. Mothers of the Disappeared. Huh? Where are you now? I mean,
Mm,
there's plenty of disappeared. Is that? Is that just to seed something in the minds of people, like some kind of mind control, that they're in the fight for this? No, they're not. I have some ideas as to what's really going on there, but man, when you realize that, it just maybe someday kids will want, real people,
mhm.
real integrity.
Yeah, absolutely.
'Cause
Well, I believe the highest frequency is authenticity by far. And
yeah.
so if we can just be authentic, I think we're well on our way. Let me give a shout out real quick to somebody that helps us make this show happen. All right. Um, Uh, by the way, Matt would probably sponsor you guys too. I know I'm saying that live here because he loves integrity, and you and Scott ooze integrity to me. So I think he would work with that. Hey, guess what? I This was not even the goal here, but we're getting donations in live chat right now.
Oh,
How cool is that? So, I guess, we'll be on the phone looking for a studio for the
that,
21st. Why
that-
do we open our mouth? No, it's great. Thank you, folks. We really, really appreciate it, and, every dollar helps, and, we will ensure that this goes, directly there, and Joe could hold my feet to the fire on that, but I'll 100% make sure that, we take care of it. So that's good. Thank you very much for that. And if you go to screwbiggov.com, I don't ever ask for donations. In fact, I think it's been almost 3 months since I've had one. But go to screwbiggov.com, and I think there is a donation link somewhere on there towards the bottom, whether it's Cash App or something else. If you want to donate to this project, Lisa must be in the background now. Thank you, Lisa. If you want to donate to this project, just do me a favor and just put something like song or to unite, just something that we know it is. And all we need is just enough money to rent the studio for one day. Pretty much all the other expenses we're covering on our own. Is that about right, Joe?
Yeah, just mainly it's the studio. The rest, Steve is an amazing human being. He's my producer, and each song we do, it's a lot of his work. He puts over 100 hours into each song because it takes time to do this. We don't use AI. What we've had to do though is you know we've had, sometimes he'll have to create certain sounds because Lifting Veils was done in the 432 hertz frequency, and this song is being recorded in 432 hertz as well. So Kristen was like, I can't get my guitar in tune. I'm like, well, this might be why. And so I told her about that, and so that's really important as well. And it's an honor to be able to do this and to work with people. And I've known Steve for 15 years. In fact, so Scott and I did a film called A Perfect Life. And if you go to our link tree, you guys, all of our links are there to watch our films for free, to listen to the music on Spotify. I have a Bandcamp, and we can show all that later. But the point is Steve and I have worked together. I think we have a clip. We did a film in 2010, came out in 2011, and it's one of my songs. And I have to remember which song this is. I think it's called At 10. And Steve I'd recorded the soundtrack at Steve's studio in Tacoma, Washington. And this is our wheelhouse. And that soundtrack won a gold medal in the Park City Film and Music Festival. So in Park City, they literally have a festival that's just for music that's in film. It's not Sundance or anything like that. But so yeah, I have
You're talking
amazing.
about The Perfect Life, right?
Yeah, Perfect Life, exactly.
I have it here. We can play it right now.
Yeah, let's play it real quick.
Cool.
It's about a minute long. The scene, not the movie.
I guess I have to hit play.
Oh, no problem.
Sorry.
Well,
let me go back.
Yeah, and while she's doing that, I can read a little. So just so people know, Led Zeppelin was influenced by bands in Tacoma, and we're talking about the Ventures, the Fabulous Wailers, the Sonics, the Kingsmen, Paul's Revere and the Raiders. I mean, there's amazing music that's come out of Tacoma. So I just feel honored to be a part of that. So
cool. If everything goes right, let's on this March 21st, right?
May 20th.
May 20th.
Yeah,
no.
Yeah. They all blend together, don't they?
We're already behind 10 months.
Yeah. Monday, May 20th in the afternoon is what we're looking for.
Right. And that's one of our final pieces. And then, in fact, we have some great singers. Hey, we did have a question that you already answered. I think it was from Denise or somebody asking if it was going to be 432 hertz. So it's I knew the answer to that already, but I'm sure glad that you covered that because I think it's very cool.
Yeah, I don't think there'll be any other songs that I do that aren't from now on. I mean, we just didn't know this when I recorded Freedom Now in 2021. I wasn't aware of that, and then Lifting Veils in 2023. That's when we did that, and now with this, and then I'm working on another song called A Flood of Light, and that might actually be going. Do you know who Ole Damegard is?
Yes.
Yeah, so he's agreed to do a song, and he kind of has a David Gilmour vibe to his guitar. So he doesn't know this yet, but he agreed. But I think A Flood of Light is what I'm going to have him play guitar on because he's just amazing.
Very cool. Very cool.
Yeah.
So if assuming we get uh, Ethan's piece, sorry, Ethan, with or without you, we're moving forward. But assuming that we get that within the next week or two, and we get the recording on May 20th nailed, right? And then then I go into video production after that. When do you think that could be that I would have that song for me to go in video production?
Well, I know now. I think you're trying to come to the studio and get some footage too, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I think after that, Steve can, once he has everything, then we can add a few more sounds to it. I think that we should be able to have this out hopefully by the end of June, start of July. I would think maybe in time for the 4th of July would be really cool.
Okay. Cool. Cool.
But no problem. I'd rather under promise and over deliver.
For sure. For sure. Although there's a need for us to get these knuckleheads together and unite.
Yeah.
So I think
As soon as we can.
important. Good. I love putting pressure on people on the show because now it's documented. So the slings and arrows will come after them, not me now. Let's play a clip from The Perfect Life. Not playing. Should I hit play Lisa myself?
It's at the 1 hour. It's at the 74-minute mark. So 1 hour.
In each one of us, Peter Pan, Elvis Presley, Superman. In each one of us, Jacques Cousteau, to marvel at the earth and the sea below. Well, I just need someone who understands the little boy inside the man. I just need someone who understands. Part of me lives in our dreamland.
That should give a little bit of insight. Yeah, I played a very downtrodden character, and it was cool. It was amazing to do that performance, and thank God for my brother because we shot most of the film in his house.
So it looks like you were typecasted. Is that right?
Yeah, I didn't have to act. Who's this going off the street? Well, perfect. We'll just
we need a hobo. Hey, there's Joe.
Hey, there's Joe the hobo.
That's hilarious.
So, well, I just want to say a little bit of something before we wrap this up. Wait,
real quick. You clearly can tell everybody that Joe has his own show because he's already telling me when I'm going to rap.
Exactly. Well, I'm just going to share a little bit about my past and certain things going on up in the Tacoma area. So this is me in the early 90s up at Western Washington University. And I'm with one of my favorite bands. The Gentleman in the Red is one of my favorite guitarists of all time. His name is Will Sargent from Echo and the Bunnymen. That's him, right? Well, there it is right here.
Yep, got it.
Anyway, so one of my dreams is maybe to someday play a song with him. I don't know. I'm just man of putting that out in there. And then these guys, these are my former bosses, right? These guys up here, they're twins in the Tacoma area. They run a couple bars. They're the Peterson brothers. And they're putting out a movie about the Rainier beer commercials. And it's airing at the Seattle International Film Festival. So, and what's challenging is, they bought into the narrative. I don't know where they're at with it, but they're flourishing. And hopefully one day them and I can once again, that we can then unite in more projects down the road because they're amazing dudes. They've always had my back. They gave me a job when I was in a bad place in California with an ex-girlfriend. But there's just a lot of cool stuff that's going on in the Northwest. And this is where, is where I grew up, and it's called the Grit City. It's also called, as we discussed with Gregory Martin, the son of George Martin from the Beatles producer. Tacoma is the Liverpool of the United States, and so it's where a lot of my family and friends are. I've tried LA, I've tried Park City, I've tried Sun Valley, Idaho, and I'll definitely, visit those places again. But there's something about the grit of this city that brings me back. So
Very cool. Hey,
yeah.
so interesting enough, it's amazing how these connections. Oh, this is from Alan Fountain. He says you should get Dweezil Zappa to support your song, as his wife Megan was a supporter of our cause. I bet he has a studio in LA. Just thinking out of the box. Interesting enough, I used to party with Dweezil Zappa and Moon Zappa
Wow.
right next door to their house. The Zappas lived in the hills, and it was they would throw parties, and Pee Wee Herman was he was always the one fronting the money for the parties. But there's some of the coolest parties next to the Zappas house, so that's funny. That interesting. Yeah, if anybody knows how to get a hold of the Dweez, then that'd be great.
And we
For
got to think outside the box. I mean, I think that's great. That staying in the box and listening to the box or the TV, it hasn't done us much good. So
Yep, I absolutely agree with you. So, Joe, where do you think this is going? Do you think we're going to see a bunch of reveals? What's next on this crazy Patriot agenda?
well, I'll tell you, after having Mike King on our show on Tuesday and Pascal Najati after Alex Jones, that video has, God, I think over 850,000 views at this point.
Mhm.
I think it's all coming out. I think it's coming together. And I think we all understand now that it had to be a certain way because you got to look back and be able to connect all the dots. And even if some of them have looked either fabricated or whatever, I don't know. I asked Mike King some questions about what Q is and all this stuff, and it's a great interview. I definitely suggest people checking that out. But things had to be done this way so that you can look back and connect all this stuff, like Puff Diddy. If there weren't pictures linking him to other things that he did in the past, then
Mhm.
it wouldn't get through the minds of some people so quickly now that may not otherwise believe all that. You have to have something to connect it to. So I think we're seeing the collapse happen before our eyes.
Well, I think so too, and I would ask people to start looking for the good now, not looking for the bad, because here's a great example, and this is thankfully we're having firsthand knowledge because of some connections my wife and I have. Hollywood is decimated. You're not seeing those stars anymore, and if you are, you're seeing them in CGI on the film. You're not seeing them out in public. We know people that work at specific places within inside the Hollywood community, and they're saying they're not coming in anymore. So that means they're off the map. That's great news. This just look at all the corporate heads that have fired, resigned, or disappeared. Look at all the politicians saying I'm not going to run again. It's clearly you're looking at a fake Biden. But something that we just noticed yesterday at a restaurant, because my wife's really big on this, is American food is poisoned more than any food in the world. People don't understand that. In fact, the ingredients, say on a bottle of a ketchup, would be like 14 to 16 ingredients, where overseas you're talking tomatoes, vinegar, salt, and maybe some type of thickener. You know what I mean? It's very, very mild. Interesting enough, we were at a restaurant a couple of days ago, and we always look at the backs of the bottle. Sure enough, it only had 3 or 4 ingredients on it in the United States.
Oh,
We're like, "Oh, isn't that interesting?" And
very.
California is actually putting out laws now, California of all places, to they don't allow certain chemicals in foods and so on and so forth. So guys, let's really start looking for the positives and everything, because remember, The only thing the negative does is it puts you in a fear state, and the fear state is exactly what the cabal needs to feed on. Let's not give them that anymore. So I think there's a lot of positive going on. It clearly is a movie at this point. It was hard for me to say that a while ago, if I'm going to be honest, because I'm a more pragmatic type and I like a little bit more evidence. But it's very, very clear now that this time is. So, hey, Joey, where can we find you? Let everybody know.
Yeah, well, the best place is well, our Rumble channel Truth Stream with Joe and Scott. But our link tree has everything on it, and it's if you go to Linktree and just type in Truth Stream, I think that's the best way to find it. If not, we'll have the link. We have the link below all our videos. And Lewis, have you noticed that on the iPad or the iPhone or any smaller device, if you will, that in order to find the links on Rumble, you have to go below the ad that's below the video, and then you hit show more. And that's because a lot of people, they don't even know where to look. Um, so
That's interesting. I don't use communist products like Apple products like you do, so I can't tell you about that. But I have heard that though. So thank you for letting the audience know. That's you have to look below all that stuff to find it.
yeah, and so that's the main place. I mean, if people want to find my website, it's Joe Rosati Collective, JoeRosati Collective, COLLECTIVE.com, and that has links to everything. But the link tree is the best because it's all there. All our X, our Telegram, all that stuff. So and my
Excellent.
Bandcamp, my the music site, the movie. So yeah, that's the best place to go.
Very cool. And then how often do you do interviews on your channel?
On TruthStream, we do the Friday Night Lives, and we've been now that they've lifted the ban on Rumble, and we finally cracked 30,000, and we don't feel as suppressed. We're doing more. We don't have an exact time except for Fridays, but now on Rumble we can let people know up to 3 days in advance. Now we can put up the live. It used to just be one, 24
Mhm,
hours.
mhm.
So yeah, look for probably 2 to 3 interviews a week. We're going to get a little bit more active because we feel that the ceiling's been lifted a little bit on things, and we can put the stuff out, and it's going to get to more people. And that's the importance of sharing things, because if you don't like and you don't subscribe and you don't share, you have to resubscribe. I mean, Lewis, I've lost 10 Twitter channels,
Hmm.
3 YouTube channels. You name it. It's been my Freedom Now video brought down a few different channels. I'm redoing that, by the way. So if you guys haven't seen the Freedom Now video, I'm putting some new faces in there and some new footage so it looks like it could be from 2024, not from 2021, because it was so shadow banned that it made it really challenging to get it out there. So
Shadow banning. Well, I've never heard of that before.
yeah,
It's it's amazing. Joe, it's
yeah.
been awesome having you here, brother.